Fast call this side of 10. Julie, good morning.
Good morning, Neil. How are you?
Good, thank you. You wanted to pick up on my conversation yesterday with the Irish Cancer Association on the Gardasil vaccine. They're saying it is safe, and people are just are scaremongering with regards to the injections and the vaccination. So go ahead.
I suppose I'm disgusted to hear that, Neil, simply because these people, when they are wrong and blatantly wrong, they still just bully their way and say, no, we're right. My daughter got this vaccine 4 years ago. Immediately after getting the vaccine in school, she collapsed and was ambulanced into CUH. We got phone calls just to go directly to the hospital because nobody knew what was going to happen. She went back to school several times after that, Neil, and every time she went back, she collapsed and was ambulanced back into CUH. She has a diagnosis of cardiac arrhythmia, low blood pressure, pains and extreme pain, cataplexy, narcolepsy. She went back in and spent something like 9 weeks in CUH where they did a sleep deprivation thing on her. She was 10 days without sleep, and they're still telling us there is nothing wrong with our daughter. At that
Tell me. I'm just curious about this sleep deprivation thing. What do you mean by that?
It's a sleep deprivation so that they could induce a collapse on her.
They induce it. They make her sleep, is it?
No, they deprive the body of sleep to try and induce a collapse state so that they could video it to monitor it.
And how long did that go on for?
That went on for 10 days.
You're telling me that she had no sleep for 10 days?
Yeah. And we kept saying this to the doctors, and they kept saying, no, she'll be absolutely fine. A person can go up to 20 days without sleep and they'll be absolutely fine.
And how was she? I mean, did she talk to you about how she was feeling?
She's in such a state. 4 years later, and she's still in such a state. Now, at the time she was in leaving cert, she couldn't go back to school eventually after being ambulanced in several times, and eventually we were told just to do home tuition at home. She started studying after Christmas for her leaving cert year. She missed all the application for colleges and stuff like that, and eventually she went to college in the UK. When she collapses in the UK with the very same condition, she's ambulanced into hospital, and they acknowledge that it is a reaction to this vaccine. It's a severe anaphylactic reaction to this vaccine, and they're saying, okay, it's a reaction you've had. We need to help you and identify what's wrong and help manage it better. When she's taken into hospital here, they're telling us it has nothing to do with us, it's got nothing to do with the vaccine, and yet she has all of these diagnoses. And the coincidence is that it was after the vaccine.
What kind of a girl was she the day before the vaccination?
She was running around. She'd come to Cork 4 days a week. She was very involved with Declan Wolf and Trevor and a couple more there.
So she was dancing, she was acting, she was involved in speech and drama. Yeah.
Absolutely, big time. She wasn't ever really a sports person, but certainly the theatre world was her life. She has never acted since this. She has gone into directing, and while she was in bed, she was a girl that was never very heavy, but she lost weight. She went down to 5.5 stone, Neil.
She wanted to sleep all the time.
No. Well, she did want to sleep the whole time, but during the early days before Christmas that year, she got the vaccine maybe mid-September after going back to school, and she lost weight. She went down to 5.5 stone. We thought, and she was absolutely convinced over in the hospital, that she was actually going to die. She was in a hospital ward with an anorexic girl. When she was sent home, it was because MRSA broke out in the hospital, and 2 weeks later we heard that girl had died. And she's traumatised just by the whole thing.
You see, the Cancer Society yesterday and other GPs and some bloggers are suggesting that this is all just, she would have had this reaction. It was coincidental that it happened at the same time. I mean, bizarre as that may sound, they're saying it was going to happen anyway.
Neil, I hate to contradict you, my friend, but these people are talking through their ass. She has had other vaccines because she was going abroad and doing volunteer work and stuff like this, and she didn't have any reaction to those. She was less than a pound at birth, but she got all of the normal childhood vaccines, and there was absolutely no reaction ever to anything like this. These people are talking through their asses, and they will not acknowledge they're wrong, just because of the elitist nature around the medical profession in Ireland and everybody bowing down to them. They get it wrong, and this one has been gotten wrong. You
and many more besides. I've got Anna, Geraldine, Valerie, Kiva, Una, all these different ladies telling similar stories about their daughters. You say that in the UK the doctors have acknowledged it was the Gardasil vaccine. Here the doctors refuse to and say it was not.
When she has been admitted to A&E by ambulance in the UK, they acknowledge that this is a reaction to the vaccine you've had. They're amazed at the research that has been done on her, for example, the 10 days without sleep and other kinds of...
Are they saying that all of those investigations are pointless, is it?
Just not necessary.
All right, and tell me this, what would you say to the medical profession that say that you may have a reaction like that in 100,000 girls?
I think one is too many.
Okay.
They could have taken another 2 years to further research that drug. And Neil, I saw Mary Harney being put under pressure on prime time for not rolling this scheme out sooner.
Yeah.
But they should have just stood their ground. The medical profession in Ireland has a huge amount of power. Yeah. Huge amount of power. They could have held back for the sake of our children. Any one child is too many.
All right, overtime. I'll come back to this after 10. Appreciate the call, Julie. Thank you.
No bother. Thank you, Neil.
1-850 104 106. Back after 10. Mine's over 3 minutes time. Just ahead of that, Virginia, thank you for your patience. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Neil. Thanks very much for having me on.
Now, you wanted to just pick up on Jane's story and my conversations regarding the Gardasil vaccine yesterday. Tell me your own daughter's situation.
My daughter, Ciara, she's now 23, so she had the vaccine when she was 16. And from then on to right up to today, her health has deteriorated to the point where now she is at home full-time with me. It doesn't really go out anywhere because she's just not physically able to do anything.
Tell me a little bit about the 16-year-old daughter that you had. What kind of a girl was she?
Oh, she was any normal teenager, out and about, going to school, out with her friends, going to discos, all the usual. Big into keep fit and was always very healthy and, did, walking and on the treadmill and all normal 16-year-old things. Yeah. So then when she had the vaccine, she started to kind of, have different things wrong with her. She was feeling weak. She would be fainting. She would have kind of viral throat. She'd feel sick. Kind of a mixture of all these things that just kept progressing, to the point where she couldn't hold herself up, that she'd faint, or she might have kind of like zoning out. She might be sitting there talking.
Yeah, that's one of the side effects that regret.ie brought to my attention was
that's right,
information retention, things like that.
Yeah, and a serious brain fog, and a girl who, she did actually get to, do her Leaving Cert because she was that bit older than most of the girls having it. So she was lucky she got her Leaving Cert, and she did go on to do a year in WIT, but she just couldn't. The tiredness and the whole weakness and feeling very unwell all the time. She just had to give that up. So. And she had been working as well, doing a part-time job, and all that. She just had to give it all up.
Wow! And all of this started to happen soon after the vaccine, was it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
How soon?
Yeah, I think after her second one. So her first one, she seemed to be okay. The second one, she was very unwell, and she had this high temperature, this fainting, this kind of zoning out. So we delayed giving her the third one because we made no connection with the Gardasil at the time. So in actual fact, she went on to have her third injection, regrettably so. And from then on, she started to have palpitations. So we had to take her to a cardiologist. She's fine. There's nothing wrong with her. I'm sure it's just anxiety, and this is what we were being told. So eventually, she became so unwell. I said to our GP, look, we have to get her seen. I don't know what's wrong with her. It's not normal for a girl to be this way, all this zoning out and fainting and feeling sick. So we eventually had her tested for lots of different things, and eventually she was tested positive for this thing called POTS.
POTS, yeah.
Yep.
POTS syndrome, yeah.
Yeah.
Explain POTS to people.
Well, it's postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. So what it is, it's a combination of your heart rate goes so fast that you faint, that you pass out. It also affects if you stood and looked at Ciara, you'd say, no, she looks fine, but everything is going on inside her body. the nervous system. It just starts to. It doesn't work properly for her. Her autonomic nervous system.
But nobody has ever said to you that it's as a result of the vaccine, and you can't say with any certainty it could have been there anyway.
At this stage, I don't really think. I mean, up until I had heard of regret, we were kind of sitting here at home saying, what's wrong with her? She can't be feeling like this for no particular reason. So then when we did hear of regret, you hear of all other girls, similar symptoms to Ciara, and you think, well, thank God. Not that you'd like to hear anybody else have it, but, it all made sense.
Yeah. And how is she now? You say she's home with you all the time? 23-year-old girl home all of the time?
Absolutely, yeah. She's, at the moment now, she's still in bed. Some days she can't get up. It's very difficult to get out of the bed. Her limbs are heavy. She's just so weak. So, sometimes she might be awake for a while and I just can't move, Mum. And then when she does get up, she's downstairs and she is literally on the couch with her legs up, because keeping her feet down, there's blood pooling. This is related to the POTS. And, she can't she has to keep them up just to keep the blood flow somewhere normal.
It's extraordinary.
Absolutely, yeah.
Extraordinary. And how does she is that how she spends her day and night?
That is, yeah.
Day in, day out?
Day in, day out, yeah. Even some days now she might say, can I go out in the car for a spin? And obviously, there's nothing else she wants to be doing or can do. So, we might go to my parents now or something like that. But even that short journey, she would be exhausted.
And how are her spirits?
Actually, she amazes me. Absolutely amazes me that she can keep positive and keep going and, maybe this will work, Mum, maybe that will work, or, but it's very difficult for her. My mum's birthday is coming up now, and Mum said, we'll have a night out now. My parents are great for family occasions and all the grandchildren together, and we said, we'll go for a meal. And Ciara said, I can't go, Mum, because she couldn't sit at a table like the rest of us around the table and enjoy a meal out with people.
What would happen?
She would be just completely zoned out. She couldn't concentrate. The brain fog would come in because she'd be sitting with her feet down. And she just couldn't concentrate. And as well as that, no matter where we go to eat, if you were looking for food for her, she's developed a lot of food intolerances. So it's not that easy to pick something off a menu as well.
So this is 7 years. Over that period, is she improving or disimproving?
Oh, disimproving. Absolutely. I mean, this time last year, we were lucky enough to be able to go away on a holiday, and we talked about it again this year. And she said, "Mum, I couldn't get on a plane," and I know she can't. She can hardly walk out the front door to the car. Never mind to go away.
And is she under any medical care now?
We've tried different consultants, and they've checked her over for, tried different medications, but nothing really at the moment.
That's amazing. That is just amazing. Do you feel an element of responsibility or even guilt?
Well, I suppose I do, because it was mine and my husband's decision for her to have this vaccine. We thought we were doing the right thing, at the time. It was huge in the coverage at the time. Mary Harney was under pressure. Professor Crone was coming out and he was saying, "Oh, yes, you should be getting it." And, and we thought we were doing the right thing.
Oh, my God.
So, no, thankfully she doesn't blame me for it. But
yeah, she doesn't blame you for it. No, sure. I mean, you did it with love.
And she knows why we did it. But, it is heartbreaking to see her. I mean, she should be out now tonight. The rest of the guys here are heading out. She'll only wait for them to come home to fill her in on the night out.
Do her friends call over then regularly?
Well, you see, not as much, because, they're all getting on with their lives. They're, in college, they're doing degrees, they're emigrating, so, they do call, but, it's not the same as heading out on the town for the night.
No, she's a very strong girl that she manages to stay in such positive spirits,
Well, she is fantastic, but obviously she has her bad days. Like
God almighty, it's terrible.
But, she is fabulous. And she has great family around her who are very good to her. Her cousins and her siblings and my parents and,
I know.
aunts and uncles. But, in the end of it all, she's sitting here all day, every day. And that's what it's like for her.
Yeah. Love to talk to her sometime if she's up to it. Have a think about that.
I will indeed.
All right. I mean, I can just sit here and listen to people's stories, families who can tell their own stories. We have to allow others to make up their own minds, of course. This vaccine was brought out so that girls wouldn't get cervical cancer.
Yes, yeah. And I mean,
the intentions were sound.
Yeah. But I mean, there are side effects. Some girls get them, some girls don't. But those that do get them have to be looked after. And they're not even, there is no help for them.
Her quality of life has been robbed.
Oh, it's absolutely. I mean, even if she gets better, and I mean, we still hope that she will, obviously, and we're pursuing every avenue, she will never get these years back.
Never.
She will never have her early 20s,
No.
Doing all the things that, that the rest of them are doing.
I hope she gets to pick up her life again, even with that piece missing.
Yeah, well, I'm sure she will.
All right, Virginia, do stay in touch and give Ciara our regards, all right?
Thanks very much, Neil.
Cheers, take care.
Thanks a million.